Friends, the world of shipping is about to get a whole lot more complicated. The Houthis are at it again. They've declared that they are entering their fourth phase of the military blockade on Israel. They are going to launch new attacks on cargo ships traveling past Yemen. They are also saying that they're going to attack ships that are not near Yemen. They have ballistic missiles and long-range cruise missiles, which they are proposing to use even with ships that are farther away. This escalation is going to be big, and you need to be prepared for what's about to happen, friends. We're going to get you warned on this and updated to keep you guys ahead of the curve. All right, friends, welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you always hit that like button on channels and videos that you approve of. All right, so the Houthis have been busy so far this year. Just in the last month, they have launched attacks on several key ships. Back at the beginning of July, we saw them attack the Eternity Sea. We saw them attack the Magic Seas. Now, what they have against ships with the name Sea in it, I don't know. But they sank both of those ships. The crews on board, some of them were rescued, some of them were taken hostage. Now, leading up to this, they sank a number of other ships over the last number of years, but not like this. They seem to have actually figured out how to put ships on the bottom of the ocean. Now, they had to use some scuttling charges, but they've started to learn how to use the surface drones to really put a lot of explosives on target. Now, they seem to be somewhat trying to get the crews off the ships before they sink them, but this is certainly going to give any kind of maritime insurance agency fits in the middle of the night. So on July 7th, they attacked the Eternity Sea. Houthi speedboats, drones, and missiles attacked the ship. And then they had to come back the next day. When they did, they brought more ships, and they forced the crew to abandon ship. These missiles and drones damaged the ship, set it on fire, and they had to abandon ship. Many of the crew jumping into the water. 10 of the crew members were rescued by Allied forces, and then later another 4 were rescued by Allied forces. 11 were captured by the Houthis and are still being held hostage. They've captured ships before. The Ruby Mar that was sank. The Galaxy Leader back in 2023 was captured, and they turned it into a mothership. The Israelis sank that just earlier in July here. And then on the day before their attack on the Eternity Sea, they attacked the Magic Seas. The Magic Seas was sunk on July 6th. 8 skiffs with small arms, RPGs, 4 unmanned surface vehicles, basically a remote-controlled speedboat that has a lot of boom material inside of it. They also claim to use 5 ballistic missiles and cruise missiles, but not sure if any of those actually hit. But this is kind of what happened. They sank 2 ships early this month, and now they're saying that they are going, in a new statement that they just released, that they are going into their fourth round. So, the attacks began generally around November 2023. And they've gone into multiple phases, as they call them. And when they do these phases, they tend to deliver on them. These last 2 ships that were attacked were in phase 3. Basically, they're perfecting their attacks on these ships. Now, at first it may seem like it's not that sophisticated of an attack to attack a cargo ship that's floating on the ocean. But actually it's a little bit harder than what you might think. And it takes the non-professional military of the Houthis a little bit of doing to figure out how to do it, even with coordination from the Iranians. The Iranians have been providing them materials, stuff that goes boom, and intelligence. There has been an Iranian ship, mothership, hanging around the area, providing intelligence. Now, up till recently, ships traveling past Yemen would have their transponders on, squawking who they are, where they're headed, and their exact location. That made it, really easy to track down the ships. But ships, sometime last year, really started to shut off their transponders anywhere near Yemen. They shut off their transponders and go dark through the Bab al-Mandab Strait near there. Now, even though some ships are still making the run, because this is the entrance to the Suez Canal, which cuts off going all the way around Africa, which is a really long way. A lot of shipping companies have decided that it's better to take the long way around Africa. Up till now, there has been spare shipping capacity for this to happen. The global economy has been slowing down. There's been a glut of shipping, ships out there, cargo, container ships, bulk carriers, even though the natural gas tankers have been tight, and oil tankers. There have been too many oil tankers as well. So basically, this has kind of worked out in everybody's favor, except for the people actually paying for the shipping. So there's enough ships out there. They've been able to kind of make this work, where some of the ships take a much longer route all the way around Africa, and they still get to Europe, and everyone's still okay. Things just take a little bit longer to get there, and it's a little more expensive. Some ships have been trying to run through the Bab al-Mandab Strait, enough of them to keep the Suez Canal fairly busy. But the drop in shipping through there has been noticeable. And in the past month, it has cratered through the floor. Ships just aren't willing to go through there. Or, let's put it more accurately, insurance companies are unwilling to insure ships going through there. Now, the Houthis, they say that they're going after Israeli ships. But both the ships Magic Seas and Eternity Sea, neither one of them had obvious direct links to Israel. Both of those ships did make port calls in Ashdod a while back. And that apparently to the Houthis is enough reason to attack them. Now that wasn't recent. You had to dig through their logs to find that they were there. But the Houthis are saying basically even making port calls in Israel, or as they call it, occupied Palestine, is enough reason for them to sink your ship and attack your crew, potentially even harming them or holding them captive. So, just yesterday, they announced the implementation of the fourth phase of the military blockade on Israel. Now, recently they've launched ballistic missiles at Israel, aiming at Ashdod port, and they've also aimed at Tel Aviv airport. That is what they've been doing. They've been basically saying it's an air blockade by attacking the airport. They got a bunch of air carriers to refuse to service Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, and that has, most of those air carriers have started flying there again. So we're going to see what this looks like, but they've just said in this fourth phase of the military blockade that they're going to focus in on ships owned by companies dealing with Israeli ports. Now, if you just heard what I just said, they're not going to attack ships that have been to Israel. They're going to attack companies that do business with Israel. So they're going to look at the company. Does the company have any ships that do business with Israel? If they do, all of their ships are fair game. And you see, that can be pretty big for large logistical shipping companies, right? How do you get stuff to Israel from, Taiwan or from Japan or from the United States? I mean, obviously, you have this web where you deliver stuff to all over the place, right? What they're saying is that if one of your links goes to Israel, well then, all of your ships, all of your vessels are now legitimate targets of war. They've had a number of previous fatal attacks on these ships. They're trying to get the release of the Eternity Sea, their crew members who have been captured and are being held hostage. Ongoing negotiations with Cosmos Ships Management, trying to get them released. But this announcement really kind of has a lot of the shipping companies out there concerned that this is going to turn into another major incident, and their ships could be next. They're saying that this is a major shift in intent. It's not just seeing each ship individually, but rather seeing the companies behind the ships. And this is also going to be potentially meaning that U.S. flagged ships could be targets, or U.S. owned ships could be targets. Now remember, we had our little deal between the United States and the Houthis signed, basically that they would not attack U.S. ships anymore. Well, the Houthis just said any company that does business in Israel is a legitimate target again. That, on the face of it, seems to be flying in the face of the deal that was made with President Trump. So, we'll see if that is where they're landing on that. And of course, Iran is out there feeding them missiles, feeding them things that go boom, to continue making these attacks. And apparently they've rearmed and re-upped their ability to launch these type of attacks. Right now, the only people doing airstrikes on the Houthis right now is Israel, and they've only been doing limited strikes. I mean, they're basically fighting everybody in the Middle East simultaneously, so they can't spend too much time attacking Yemen. But the Yemenis continue to lob ballistic missiles at Israel, some of which are getting knocked out of the sky. Most of them seem to be getting knocked out of the sky, and some of them are getting through. All right, so the United States is not a combatant in this anymore, supposedly, but Houthis saying that maybe they will start attacking U.S.-backed ships or U.S.-owned ships. So we'll see about that. What does this really mean? This means that there's going to be an increasing tightening of ships because more ships are going to have to go around the Horn of Africa all the way down around, Cape Town and all that, which with longer routes means you need more ships to cover, to carry the same amount of goods between Asia and Europe. And that's the really long haul thing that they have to do. They have to go down past Singapore, then they have to go over to normally through the Suez Canal and get to southern Europe. And then they can take things by rail up north, or they can take things by ship all the way the long way around Europe. But going around Africa will take more ships. It will increase shipping rates, not only for the Europeans, but it will increase shipping rates for everybody out there. More ships being used will mean less ships to carry stuff to the United States from Vietnam. Not bringing as much stuff from China anyway, with like 55% tariffs right now happening. But this trade war is actually the only thing kind of keeping this from being a much bigger issue. We saw this back during the Biden administration where things were getting really tight with shipping. And we may see that continue. We've also seen that the shipping companies that are running older ships that are much more fuel inefficient, they've gone back to starting to scrap their ships. They kind of put a pause on that. They're like, okay, these ships are needed for now, but they've gone back to say it just isn't worth it. We're going to have to scrap these ships anyway. We're going to start scrapping them now. And shipbuilding continues, but the shipbuilding orders are becoming less and less. And really, those orders are for much larger ships. The Trans-Pacific ferries between China and other Asian countries and the west coast of the United States, they're bringing in bigger and bigger ships to make that more efficient and so less ships, less routes, but much larger ships making those routes. That's kind of where everything is going with this. And if these ships are going to have to go around Africa anyway and they can't get through the Suez Canal, period, well, then you can make them bigger than the Suez Canal can hold. So companies are risking more on the basis of the idea that the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal may not be as available in the future. So we're going to keep our eyes on what's happening with shipping, but expect prices to continue to increase due to these attacks, and we'll keep you updated on what happens if the Houthis start attacking ships again, which it looks like will be happening imminently. All right, friends, it's a little bit chaotic down there. Everyone always seems surprised when a ship gets attacked. Everyone's kind of like, why'd they attack that ship? That's how it's been for the last couple of years. They're like, we're going to attack Israeli ships, and then they attack a ship, and you're just like, that ship had nothing to do with Israel. What just happened here? Well, it made sense to the Houthis. Or sometimes they were just trying to hit some kind of ship. You know, sometimes they just attack a ship and they thought this ship was that ship, and, you know, it just confuses them which one they're attacking at that time. So nobody's really safe. I mean, it's a shooting range, and the Houthis really don't know how to hit things or identify targets or really, you know, figure out who is what. If the Houthis had big ships out there, they'd probably be shooting their own ships. But just because somebody's incompetent doesn't make them, well, it makes them less dangerous a little bit, but in the other way of thinking about it, it makes it more dangerous for everyone around them, right? They've said that they're not going to attack any Chinese ships. But then they turned around and shot up a Chinese ship. It's just like, even the Chinese ships aren't safe, even though they're supposed to be safe, because the Houthis really don't know what they're doing. And sometimes they're just trying to hit something. And they'd rather hit something that's the wrong something than to hit nothing. All right, friends, we'll keep you updated on what's happening with that. But thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.